Hey there, it's Sonia. Welcome back to my channel, When the Priestess Speaks. So, in this minisode, which is a mini little episode of whatever I want to talk about and whatever I kind of want to guide you on, I'm going to be talking about limerence. And initially, I planned this with the kind of thought in mind that I will actually explain limerence in 60 seconds, that it's not love but it's actually a wound, but that's impossible to do. So I'll try to keep this minisode and following minisodes short. Okay, they're shorter than the longer ones that I have on my channel, and hopefully help to succinctly explain what is going on in a particular concept that I would like to talk about in the episode. So today it's all about limerence, and just to dive straight into the episode, if you are here, okay, because you are limerent for someone and you have been pining away for someone for a very long time, limerence feels like destiny, doesn't it? But it's actually a psychological, energetic, and nervous system pattern. Okay, so you're not in love, you're actually in a loop where you feel like you're in love. So today in this episode, I kind of want to break down why you crave intensity, why you attach to unavailability and unavailable people, and why your body mistakes trauma chemistry for meant to be. So diving in straight into the first bit of why you actually crave intensity, okay, especially in relationships. Intensity isn't intimacy, it's actually survival. So when someone actually activates your wound, your nervous system lights up like a warning signal. Your brain releases dopamine, adrenaline, cortisol, all those nice neurotransmitters, and suddenly the person feels super important. They feel like the most amazing person in the entire world. Not because they are meant for you and not because you're going to marry them or whatever it is, but because they feel familiar to your nervous system. Your body recognizes the emotional pattern even if it isn't healthy for us in the long run, and whatever or whoever actually triggers the emotional pattern or triggers that nervous system pattern will be someone that we then latch onto for the time being. Okay, so that's your limerent object. So this is why when you look at someone that gives you that kind of feeling, that familiar kind of feeling, the spark, okay, hits you instantly and you think that it is, oh, this is chemistry. But it's not chemistry, it's just your body remembering a certain familiar pattern of how you've been treated in the past or how you have learned to conceptualize love. So if you're someone who has always been emotionally unavailable and you've always been surrounded by emotionally unavailable people your whole life, you tend to be drawn to people who also treat you that way or who are also, in that kind of dynamic with you. So you tend to fall for people who ignore you, fall for people that don't know you, fall for people you cannot have. So that's essentially your body and your nervous system repeating the familiar patterns, unhealthy patterns, I should say, from the past. Why then do you attach to unavailability? So unavailability, okay, just building on what I previously described, unavailability is a very big part of limerence, okay? And unavailable people to a limerent person triggers your oldest wounds. That if you hold on long enough and you like this person long enough, maybe this time the person will actually turn around, see you, think you are amazing, and choose you. So the brain loves unresolved stories. And if you are someone who is drawn to unavailable people, it's very likely that your inner child grew up feeling unseen, grew up being ignored, being emotionally parentified, like you had to parent your parent, okay? In certain family dynamics, it could be like that. You grew up chasing inconsistent love because love was always like very volatile and it wasn't constant, okay? You grew up in a family where you were abandoned, unfortunately. This happens a lot with actually a lot of people out there. Or you're rejected in some way. Okay, like you were not accepted for being who you are. You were, you tried to connect with your caregivers or your family, and you were kind of had a very hostile response. So your adult self will chase the same pattern that you actually grew up with, that you are actually familiar with. Not because it is the right thing to do, but because it's what feels normal and feels familiar to your nervous system. So limerence is nostalgia for a wound that is, continuously existing within you. 3 signs that it's trauma chemistry and not intuition. So here are your red flags in whether you are limerent or not. Sign number 1, you always experience, when you are thinking of your limerent object and when you see them, you experience an immediate emotional high, which is then followed by a crash or a very intense low. Real intuition, okay, and when you really like someone who is actually good for you and good for your nervous system, that whole process actually feels very, very calm. It feels very stable, and people who are not used to this actually find it very boring, because trauma chemistry is electric. It is exciting. It is very dopamine fueled. It feels like the most amazing thing in the world. And when it is no longer available, or you're not getting that hit from the dopamine, because dopamine doesn't flood your system every now and then, it wanes, and then when it wanes and you crash, it is no longer available, you start to feel depressive all over again, okay? And you start to want to then chase the high or do things that can bring about the high all over again. The second sign is that you fantasize more about the person more than you are connected to them, okay? You fantasize more than you connect. So fantasy is kind of like, an emotional protection. It shields you from disappointment. You don't have to deal with the person, and their habits and their weird things and, their thoughts, the things that they say, and what they do if they are a fantasy, okay? You don't have to adjust to their character. You don't have to talk to them, you don't have to risk rejection. Or you don't have to risk the relationship not working out. So it's very, very safe. And what I've noticed about many limerent individuals, they are actually very deeply lonely people, pretty isolated in general, and do not have many genuine connections in society. Okay, and a limerent individual is always kind of very, very fixated on someone that they are actually not talking to, that they do not know, and could be actually miles away, like a celebrity. The third sign is when you fear losing your limerent object more than you know them. Okay, and in fact, many limerent people actually do not know their limerent objects that well, or even at all, and mistake that kind of longing for this person that they do not know as love. Okay, but that's not love. That's your nervous system clinging to a pattern. The person is just a representation of that pattern. And okay, so far if whatever I'm telling you actually stings or it hurts, well, the truth always hurts, okay? But truth is the beginning of healing. And when you are aware of these things that are happening within you, you are actually already on the first step towards healing, unless you do not want to heal, okay? I've met limerent people who just want to maintain, their fantasy forever and ever and do not want to heal. But I believe that you are watching this video because you do want to heal. So how do you then stop the mental loop and break out of the limerent cycle? You can't think your way out of limerence. Okay, this is why a lot of cognitive treatments sometimes aren't 100% effective when it comes to something like limerence, because cognitive treatments focus a lot on your thoughts and kind of rewiring it and stuff like that. While that is actually very helpful, okay, I do not deny that, because things like affirmations and cognitive behavior therapy, all those things actually really, really help to shift your thinking, and that can actually help you to get out of the mental loop. But a lot of times, limerence can be a little bit more complex than that, and it's more than just rewiring your thoughts. Limerence tends to have a very deep emotional and psychosocial factors that are underpinning it. So ultimately, you have to regulate your way out of it. Okay, you have to learn new types of rewiring for your nervous system. You have to change what feels familiar to you, because the limerence loop, lives in your body, not really in your mind. Okay, so if you could try this at this moment in time, if you're in a quiet space, when you think of your limerent object, okay, name the sensation. Okay, when name the sensation, you are feeling anxious, you're feeling excited, you will maybe notice that your breath is actually quickening. So second step, slow down your breath. Do that 5-5-5, 5 inhale, 5 counts of holding your breath, and 5 counts of exhalation. Do that. Put your hands on your belly or your chest, wherever you actually feel the emotion a little bit more, and learn to soften that area of your body. Drop your shoulders. Okay, they may be very, very tight and lifted to your ears. Drop your shoulders. Feel your feet. on the ground. Okay, feel the environment in which you're sitting on. Is that the table, the chair, hard or soft? Is your bed? How does it feel? Feel the things around you. And then remind your body that you are safe. You are here in reality. You exist. Safety and reality breaks the mental cycle or the mental loop. Okay, not so much logic. I also kind of want to talk about the illusion of meant to be, because with many limerent individuals that I've spoken to and I've helped, there's always this sense that they are meant to be with their limerent object, that the limerent object is like their soulmate. So when a connection feels fated, okay, you're starting to kind of create a narrative as to how this person is actually brought into your life to fall in love with you and stuff like that, and you start to go on a story. It starts to feel very intense, very cosmic, very amazing, but none of that is actually happening in real life. I want you to pause, okay? Because the most meant to be feelings are actually just your shadow self saying, this person feels like the wound that I know best. It feels familiar because I've been treated that way before, I've been overlooked before. And you tend to attract people who actually represent your unhealed wounds. So your energetic element or your BaZi can actually tell you why you are attracted, how you attach to people, and what wound you are actually reenacting. So if you're interested in reading your energetic chart, which is basically your natal chart but is in the form of BaZi, you can actually reach out to me. So basically, there are 5 naturally occurring energetic elements in the 5 element system, and each of these elements actually carry a certain specific energy that you will bring into limerence, and that will kind of determine how you actually act, in limerent situations. So if you're a very fire heavy person, you are very into your fantasy. If you're water heavy, you have a lot of fears that are actually driving you. If you're very earth heavy, you're very stubborn, very stuck, and you ruminate a lot, and it's very difficult to break out of the limerent cycle. If you're a wood person, you see potential in a person a lot more than who they are actually in reality, and there's a lot of idealism and fantasy as well. In metal, there's an internal collapse where you actually see yourself as unworthy, as smaller than the limerent object, as someone who is, undeserving of the love that you want. So these are all your shadow sides of yourself repeating what it actually knows. Okay? Your light, your core self, you must choose differently. And you must also learn at the same time to accept that your shadow side of yourself actually exists, and learn how to accept and integrate it. So all these kinds of work, shadow to light work and energy work, is what I actually help limerent individuals with, if it's something that you actually want to explore. So just note that limerence isn't madness, it's a message. A message from your nervous system, your shadow and your inner child and your elemental blueprint, that when you heal the roots of your limerence, you heal the causes, the longing actually dissolves. And this is something that I absolutely guarantee you, because this is something that has happened to me. When the longing dissolves, everything else kind of disappears and your clarity returns. You are then freeing yourself from the limerent cycle to actually invite in greater, deeper, genuine, stable love, which is something that I'm sure you actually want and you actually deeply desire beneath that limerent side of you. So if you want to heal the pattern beneath the longing, not just the symptoms, do join my free mini class. I'll actually be posting it in, I'll be updating the description to actually include it, and also be a part of my newsletter so you actually get all the first deets on, various classes and various workshops actually happening. Grab my book and on limerence, and if you want to go deeper into your energy, path, your energy cycles, and how it actually determines your healing cycle from limerence and also different areas of your life, do contact me and I can help you do a reading of the 5 element chart. If you want to also go deeper and learn more about intuition and how shadow work can actually help you heal from limerence, your emotional patterns, how to rebuild your intuitive self after limerence, just get in touch with me. My Instagram handle and every single bit of information that's important is down in the description box below. I hope this video, this mini-sode, which wasn't so mini actually, now that I'm actually talking, I hope this mini-sode actually helped you in some way, and I hope that I'm able to help you personally one-on-one soon, and yeah, see you in the next video.